The two important latitudes, the Tropic of Cancer and the Arctic Circle, are passing through North America. So as we see this map, we can see here the Arctic Circle. It is these blue dotted lines. You can see here the blue dotted lines. It is also mentioned here Arctic Circle. It is written there. So this Arctic Circle and the Tropic of Cancer. These are the two important latitudes passing through North America. Arctic Circle, it passes through the countries of Alaska and Canada. You can see here it is passing through the countries of Alaska and Canada. This is Alaska, this is Canada. So Arctic Circle is passing through the countries of Alaska and Canada, and Tropic of Cancer is passing through the country of Mexico. The Tropic of Cancer passes through Mexico, while the Arctic Circle passes through Canada and Alaska. North temperate zone, North America lies entirely in the North temperate zone. So first we will know what is this temperate zone. So these are the heat zones, as we know, the heat zones of the earth. So let me show you the heat zones of the earth. This is the middle line, the middle latitude, 0 degree, that is equator. Above equator there is the Tropic of Cancer. Above Tropic of Cancer there is the Arctic Circle. Then below 0 degree there is the Tropic of Capricorn, and below Tropic of Capricorn there is the Antarctic Circle. So these are the important latitudes which makes the heat zones of the earth. Now in this 0 degree, from Tropic of the area near the 0 degree, that is from Tropic of Cancer to Tropic of Capricorn, this is completely torrid zone. It is called the region, this particular region is called the torrid zone, because it is the equator is passing through this and it receives the vertical rays of the sun. So that is why it is a torrid zone, means the temperature remains here high throughout the year. It is in the torrid zone, the temperature remains high throughout the year. Now the area, the region or the zone that is in between the Tropic of Cancer and Arctic Circle, this particular zone, this is the temperate zone. That is why it is called temperate zone, because it has moderate climate, that is neither very hot nor very cold. Again the zone in between Tropic of Capricorn and Antarctic Circle, this zone, it is the temperate zone. Again temperate zone, as I told you, means the temperature is moderate over there, neither very heat nor very cold. But as we have seen that this is also the temperate zone, this is also the temperate zone. So this temperate zone, since it lies in the northern hemisphere, it is called the north temperate zone, and this temperate zone that lies in the southern hemisphere is called south temperate zone. Again the area, that is the zone that is from Arctic Circle to the North Pole, here it is North Pole, 90 degree north, and the zone in between Antarctic Circle and the South Pole, this is 90 degree south pole. So this zone, it is frigid zone, the zone between Arctic Circle and the North Pole, frigid zone, and the zone between Antarctic Circle and the South Pole is also called frigid zone. But again here is the difference. Frigid zone, let me say you first, frigid zone means it is cold throughout the year, very cold, extremely cold throughout the year, that the entire region remains under the ice sheet throughout the year. So again, since two frigid zones are there, it is in the northern hemisphere, so it is north frigid zone, it is in the southern hemisphere, so it is south frigid zone. So these are the heat zones of the earth. Here we have studied that the North America lies in the North temperate zone. North America lies in the North temperate zone. So obviously according to that, North America should be here, as we have studied the region in between Tropic of Cancer and Arctic Circle, the region that the zone that is the North temperate zone. Since it is in the northern hemisphere, so it is the North temperate zone. So North America lies in this region, it is North temperate zone, because here it is the Arctic Circle, here it is the Arctic Circle, and here is the Tropic of Cancer. Already we studied, I have told you that the zone in between Tropic of Cancer and Arctic Circle is the North temperate zone. I have shown you here the zone between Tropic of Cancer and the Arctic Circle is the North temperate zone. So this is the region where North America lies. This is the region where North America lies, so it is in the North temperate zone. So that was the latitudinal extent of North America. Now we will come to the longitudinal extent of North America. The longitudinal extent of North America is 20 degree west to 170 degree west longitude. So from which longitude to which longitude North America covers? As we have studied latitude, from which latitude to which latitude, that was the latitudinal extent. Now we will study from which longitude to which longitude North America covers, that is from 20 degree west to 170 degree west. Now since it covers from 20 degree west to 170 degree west, so from this it is very clear that North America lies in the western hemisphere. Already we have studied North America lies in the northern hemisphere according to latitude wise, and according to longitude wise it lies in the western hemisphere. The meridian of 100 degree west divides the continent into almost two equal halves. So in this map we will see the meridian of 100 degree west. So here it is 110. You can see here 110, and this is 90. 100 is not mentioned here, 90 is mentioned, and 110 is mentioned. So obviously this middle one, the number is not mentioned, but it is 100 degree. So this 100 degree, it divides the entire continent into two equal halves because it is passing through the middle of the continent. We can see here this longitude is passing through the middle of the continent. So it is dividing the continent into two equal halves. So 100 degree west longitude divides the continent into two equal halves. North America has a great longitudinal extent due to which it has 5 time zones. So because of the great longitudinal extent, we can see here how the great longitudinal extent, that is from 20 degree to 170 degree. It is covering such a vast longitude. The longitudinal extent is so vast that North America has 5 time zones. See, these time zones are actually the divisions of the continents, or you can say the countries, because of this vast longitudinal extent, what happens? Time differences arise. There is time difference from one region to another region. There is large amount of time difference from one region to another region. So what happens? There is confusion regarding this time. There will be confusion regarding train timings, confusion regarding flight timings, confusion regarding anything like bus timings, anything. So to avoid this confusion, what happens? The continents and the countries, they are divided into time zones. The vast continents like North America we have studied here, these are vast continents, area wise it is very large. So what will happen if a person goes from one end of the continent to another end of the continent? So he will face a huge time difference. So in order to avoid such type of confusions regarding time, the continents are divided into this kind of time zones, and according to size of the continent, the number of time zones vary. Like in North America, there are total 5 time zones. In case of Asia, there are total 11 time zones because Asia is larger than North America. So obviously there will be large numbers of time zones. So there are 11 time zones. In North America, there are 5 time zones. So in order to avoid this type of confusion regarding timing, the continents are divided into time zones. So North America has total 5 time zones. Then different boundaries. North America is almost surrounded by different water bodies on all sides. We have seen here it is almost surrounded by water bodies on all sides. The Arctic Ocean makes its northern boundaries while the Atlantic lies in the east. So we see this map, the Arctic Ocean, it makes its northern boundary while the Atlantic Ocean lies in the east. We can see here the Atlantic Ocean, it is in the east. So Arctic Ocean makes its northern boundary, northern portion of North America, there is Arctic Ocean, and in the eastern part of North America there is the Atlantic Ocean. Then the Pacific Ocean is situated to the west of North America while the Caribbean Sea in the south. So Pacific Ocean is situated in the west. We can see here the western portion of North America, here it is the Pacific Ocean, and if we see the southern portion of North America, here is the Caribbean Sea. So these are the water bodies that surrounds North America: Arctic Ocean, Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, Caribbean Sea. The Bering Strait separates North America from Asia. So the Bering Strait, we can, if we see here, this map here, it is the Bering Strait. So Bering Strait, it divides, Bering Strait is also a water body, it divides North America from Asia. So this is Asia, North America. So this Bering Strait divides Asia and North America. This is a water body. So now we will see what is this strait. We have come across this word strait. So strait means it is S-T-R-A-I-T, strait. So it is a water body. So these straits, what are these straits? These straits are actually narrow water bodies that joins two large water bodies and separates two large land masses. Like here, Bering Strait, it separates land masses of Asia and North America. And as I told you, it is a narrow water body and it joins two large water bodies. That is, it is joining Arctic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. This side is Pacific Ocean. So it is joining two large water bodies but separating two land masses. Bering Strait. So this is the term strait. We have come across this term strait. Its definition we will study in this. Do you know? But first of all, let me finish this water boundaries. So the Bering Strait separates North America from Asia. North and South America are joined by the Isthmus of Panama. So again we have come across another word, that is isthmus. So first of all, let me say you what is this isthmus. Isthmus is a narrow strip of land. It is a narrow strip of land that joins two large land masses but separates two water bodies. So here it is Isthmus of Panama. We can see here this narrow strip of land. This is Isthmus of Panama. It joins South America and North America. We have seen here, every time we see the map, world map, or we see the map of North America or South America, we see that this kind of like tail, it is a kind of tail. So it comes and joins South America. So what is this? This is actually the narrow strip of land, that is Isthmus of Panama, that joins North America and South America. So that was isthmus. So we got the difference between isthmus and strait. Isthmus is the narrow strip of land, whereas strait is the narrow strip of water body. Isthmus joins two large land masses, whereas strait separates two large land masses. Isthmus separates two water bodies, while strait, it joins two water bodies. So this is the difference between strait and isthmus. So North America and South America are joined by the Isthmus of Panama. Isthmus of Panama is not water body, it is a piece of land. Be careful regarding that, it is a piece of land. So now we will study this. Do you know? First, the definition of strait. A strait is a narrow passage of water joining two large water bodies. As I told you, this is a narrow strip of water body that joins two large water bodies. Example, we have already studied one example, that is the Bering Strait connects the Arctic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. The Park Strait lying to the south of India, it is actually not P-A-R-K, it will be P-A-L-K. If it is mentioned, children, it is mentioned in your book P-A-R-K, then please change it to P-A-L-K. So the Park Strait lying to the south of India joins the Bay of Bengal and the Indian Ocean. So in India also we have a strait, that is the Park Strait. It joins Bay of Bengal and the Indian Ocean. Here we see the map of India. I am showing you the map of India, which is Park Strait. So here we see this is the Park Strait. The red line is shown. This is the Park Strait. It is in India, that joins Indian Ocean and Bay of Bengal. These are the two water bodies, Indian Ocean and Bay of Bengal. These are the two water bodies joined by Park Strait. Again, as I told you, straits separates two large land masses. So which two land masses Park Strait is separating? It is Sri Lanka and India. So hope you people are clear regarding straits. Then isthmus. It is a narrow stretch of land joining two large land masses. This also I told you that it is a narrow strip of land that joins two large land masses. Already one example we have studied, that is Isthmus of Panama joins North America and South America. Now we will study the North American political division. Shape and size, that is the shape and size of North America. Here is the table given, so just go through this table, the country and the capital city. So these are the countries of North America. Now we will study the shape and size. North America is roughly triangular in shape. If we see the map of North America, we can see that it is roughly triangular. Why it is told roughly? Because it is not completely triangle. It is not a perfect triangle, but it is a rough triangle. Almost it is taking the shape of a triangle. So that is why it is told that it is roughly triangular in shape. It covers an area of about 24,25,600 square kilometers, including Greenland and the Caribbean island. So this is the entire area of North America, and when we are talking about the entire area of North America, it means the islands are also included, that is Greenland and Caribbean island. Obviously this Greenland, the islands are not joined, or they are not within the mainland of North America, but yes, they are the part of North America. So obviously their area is also included in the total area of North America. So including Greenland and Caribbean islands, the total area of North America is 24,25,600 square kilometer. Here it is Greenland and the Caribbean islands. These are the Caribbean islands, a group of islands, Caribbean islands. So their areas are also included in the mainland. This is the mainland of North America, and these are the islands of North America. So when the area of North America is calculated, these areas are also considered. The area of Greenland, the area of Caribbean islands are also considered. Then coastline. North America has a smooth coastline. It has coastline means the area that is the line that is going through this oceans and seas. This is a coastline. This is a coastline. So the North America has a smooth coastline. It has many wide openings along its coastline. We can see here many wide openings. Here is one opening, that is Hudson Bay. Then again here is one opening, that is Gulf of Mexico. We can see here many openings over here. Here is one opening, that is Gulf of Honduras. So these are many wide openings you can see in the coastline of North America. Thus it allows the ocean to influence the continent. So because of these wide openings, the ocean water can come to the interior of North America. The ocean water, like because of these openings, that is Gulf of Mexico, this is nothing but the water of Atlantic Ocean is coming into this Hudson Bay. This is nothing but the water of this Labrador Sea, or you can say the extension of this is Arctic Ocean. This is the entire water of Arctic Ocean. It is coming into the Hudson Bay. So these are the openings where this ocean water can come almost to the interior of the continent, and so the ocean water influences the climate of North America. So thus allows the ocean to influence the continent. The oceans, though not directly but indirectly, it is influencing the climate of North America. The northwestern coast of North America is irregular as compared to the eastern one. So the northwestern coast, so this is north, as I have told you, north, and this is west. This portion is west. So this is northwestern coast. So the northwestern coast of North America is irregular as compared to the eastern one. It is irregular. It is irregular as compared to the eastern one. The eastern one, we can see it is a bit regular coastline, but here we can see it is bit irregular coastline. It is irregular coastline, and eastern one is a bit regular coastline. So this is the difference. The northwestern coast of North America is irregular as compared to the eastern one. Now we will study regarding the island groups. North America comprises of a number of island groups in the Arctic Ocean lying to the north and northeast of the continent. So there are a number of island groups in the Arctic Ocean lying to the north and northeast. So here these are the island groups lying to the north and northeast. So these are the island groups of North America. Again, I am saying you these are the northern islands, and Greenland is the northeastern island. Greenland, Baffin Island. So these are the islands that are situated in North America. What are they? Greenland, Baffin Island, Victoria Island, Ellesmere Island, Newfoundland, West Indies are the major island groups of North America. You see the atlas or you see the map that is given in your book, you can find these islands. You can locate these islands. Now we will study about the two largest countries of or the two most important countries of North America, that is Canada and USA. Canada and USA, they are the two most important countries of North America. So first we will study regarding Canada. Area wise, it is the second largest country of the world. As we have studied, the first largest country of the world is Russia. So, Canada is the second largest country of the world. It is famously known as the land of maples or the land of lilies. Ottawa is the capital city of Canada. It has world's longest coastline, that is about 96,550 kilometers. The coastline of Canada is the world's longest one. It has total 12 provinces. Now we will study regarding USA. The USA is the third largest country in the world after Russia and Canada. Washington DC is the capital of USA. USA has 50 states. So here the divisions of Canada and USA has been given. Here only the Canada division is given. The Canada political map is given. If you see the political map of USA, you will find total 50 states, and here the political map of Canada is given. So here total 12 provinces of Canada has been shown. Here it is the division of political division of USA is given in this map, that is figure 6.4. Here total 50 provinces has been, 50 states has been shown over here. So now we will do this, discuss the following. North America is the third largest continent after Asia and Africa. Canada is the second largest country in the world. Greenland is the largest island in the world. Bering Strait separates Asia and North America. Canada and USA are the most significant countries of North America. Mexico City is the capital of Mexico. The capital of Haiti is, you will see here for spelling I am showing you this table. Capital of Haiti is Port-au-Prince, spelling and write down Port-au-Prince. Now we will study some interesting facts about North America. The largest country of North America is Canada. The highest point of North America, the topmost point of North America is Mount McKinley in Alaska. In Alaska, this is the peak. Mount McKinley is the peak. It is the highest point of North America. The lowest point of North America is the Death Valley in California. The lowest point is the deepest point. Longest river is River Mississippi. Largest desert of North America is Chihuahua Desert. Longest lake is Lake Superior, and indigenous population are the native people that those stay over there. They are the Red Indians. Now we will study here the discovery of North America, how North America was discovered. Vikings probably was the first one to visit North America in about 1000 AD. However, the discovery of America is ascribed to Italian navigators. So Vikings was the first person who arrived, who visited North America in 1000 AD. But the discovery of America is given credited. Ascribed means the credit is given, or the honor is given to the Italian navigator Christopher Columbus in the 15th century. And we all know that Christopher Columbus has discovered America. He landed on one of the islands of Bahamas, that is San Salvador, off the mainland of the continent in 1492. So in 1492, he landed in this island of Bahamas, San Salvador, off the mainland of the continent. Here it is Bahamas. This island of Bahamas, here it is the island of Bahamas. So here he landed in 1492. Believing he had reached India, so he thought the island of Bahamas to be India. He called the island as the Indians, and the people of the island of Indians were known as the Red Indians. So he thought Bahamas to be India, and so the people staying over there, he called them as Red Indians because of their rugged complexion. This type of complexion, rugged complexion, very rough complexion. Today these prefer to be called as Native Americans. So these people today they call themselves as Native Americans.